For thousands of years, one story has stood above all others, a story of courage, of sacrifice, and of 300 men who stood against an army of hundreds of thousands. This is the story of the 300 Spartans. And if you enjoyed this video, consider liking the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel, as it really helps out. Now to get into the video. In 480 BC, the most powerful empire on Earth turned its eyes towards Greece, the Persian Empire. At its height, the Persian Empire stretched across 3 continents, while Greece was nothing more than a collection of small divided cities. It was estimated that the Persian Empire was between 25 to 50 times the size of the Greek city-states combined. The Persian Empire stretched from India to Egypt and to Turkey, even into Eastern Europe. The Persian Empire was ruled by one man, King Xerxes, a man with one goal: to crush Greece completely. It is also crucial to add context to his desire to crush Greece, as King Xerxes' father, King Darius of Persia, had previously attempted to invade Greece at the Battle of Marathon 10 years prior. However, here the Persians were defeated by Greek troops, mainly comprised of Athenians. Darius, who was outraged that the great Persian Empire could be defeated by a much smaller adversary, began raising a huge army to subjugate Greece. However, he died before he could see this through, and the task then fell to his son and successor, King Xerxes. His army was unlike anything the world had ever seen. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers that spanned from all parts of the greatest empire in the world at the time, and they were supported by warships that covered the sea. These forces assembled to create an unstoppable force that was fast approaching a divided Greece. Greece at the time of 480 BC was not a single state such as the one that exists today. It was comprised of many different city-states who were often at odds with each other, and they rarely trusted each other. These cities existed independently from the others, and regularly had conflicts between them. But in the face of annihilation, they had little choice but to band together. As divided, they would have no chance to defeat the invading Persians, so together they devised a plan on how they would face the Persian threat and collectively defend their homeland. Their plan was to face the Persian masses at a precise location that would negate the massive Persian numbers and would level the playing field. The location they decided upon was a narrow mountain pass in northern Greece known as Thermopylae, while a Greek naval force would attempt to blockade the Persian fleet at the Strait of Artemisium. Thermopylae's narrow mountain pass meant the Persians could not simply overpower the Greeks, as they could only commit a limited number of troops to the pass at any one time, and this allowed for a much smaller Greek force to repel the hordes of Persians. The most prominent figures of this Greek force were the Spartans, which were led by King Leonidas. The Spartans were some of the most respected and feared warriors in all of human history. They would undergo extensive and brutal training from a very young age, and would play a vital role in this conflict. However, only 300 Spartans were present at the Battle of Thermopylae. Sparta was a city in southern mainland Greece, However, it was unlike any other Greek city-state in existence. A state that birthed some of the most feared warriors in existence. Spartans would undergo brutal training from childhood, and many died during the gruesome training. But those who emerged became fearless warriors, would fight till the end, no matter how insurmountable the odds. Spartans were trained for the sole purpose of warfare. During their training, they were conditioned to not show weakness at any time on the battlefield, to not fear battle or fighting, and most importantly, that they would not surrender at any cost and that they would fight to the death. They were the greatest warriors of the age, and alongside their fellow Greek troops, they marched behind King Leonidas through Thermopylae, and would take part in one of the most epic and renowned last stands ever. Upon the Persians' arrival at Thermopylae, King Xerxes was surprised to see that a Greek force was actually prepared to face off against his hordes, as most opposition tried to flee in horror. But this Greek surprise would be the first of many King Xerxes would fall victim to. He began sending his troops against the Greeks. Wave after wave of Persian troops were sent against the Greeks, who were fortified at the narrow pass of Thermopylae, and yet each wave was repelled. The Spartans led the defense. They fought with discipline, precision, and absolute fearlessness. Their shields locked together, and their spears struck in unison. The defenders had an excellent start, as they repelled the Persian hordes for days. No matter how many troops had been sent on this offensive, they simply could not break through the Greek defense positioned at the narrow pass. The greatest army in the world was being held back by a handful of men. Even the most elite troops the Persians had to offer, the Immortals, could not breach the Spartan-led defense at Thermopylae. This stalemate was infuriating King Xerxes. He could not fathom the situation. He simply could not comprehend how this small Greek force could hold back his great army. However, a blessing would soon fall into his lap that would turn the tide in this conflict. And that blessing had a name, Ephialtes, a local resident who revealed to the Persians a narrow path that led behind Greek lines, which would allow the Persians to attack from behind. King Leonidas became aware that they were being outflanked by the Persians, and subsequently dismissed the bulk of the Greek defenders, and chose to remain with his 300 Spartans, as well as some other Greeks who refused to retreat. They knew staying would result in their demise, and yet they remained to protect the retreat and to allow time for other Greeks to take up arms against the invading Persians. On the final day, the Persians attacked from all sides. There was no escape for the Greeks. There was no hope for survival. Yet the Greeks fought to the bloody end. They had accepted their fate, and they did the utmost they could to protect the retreat and to protect Greece. Finally, ere King Leonidas and his 300 Spartans were vanquished. But this was not the end of the story. Across the rest of Greece, people heard the tale of Leonidas and his 300 Spartans, and the sacrifice they had made for all of Greece, not just for Sparta. And this inspired many to take up arms and to oppose the Persians. Their sacrifice gave the defenders time to prepare and to form proper opposition to oppose the Persians. and in the end, the Greeks successfully defeated the Persian armies and repelled their invasion. But it all began with 300 men faced with insurmountable odds, who chose to stand even when any reasonable person would expect them to run. This final stand at Thermopylae may have changed the course of history, as who knows where we would be today if the Greeks had failed to repel the Persian invaders. Many important systems developed in Greece, such as democracy, may not be present in society today had they been dismantled by the Persian following a successful invasion. Even 2,000 years on, this tale remains well known to many, and serves as a testament to bravery and sacrifice. While it was a bloody end that awaited Leonidas and his 300 Spartans, with how Spartans were raised and trained, they wouldn't have wanted to go out any other way. If you made it this far in the video, I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider leaving a like, subscribing to the channel, as it really helps out, and stay tuned for more Echoes of Time.